Hey y'all, welcome back to the podcast. Hope y'all had a good week. I feel like I did. I had a pretty good Friday, got some good news at work. Then right after that, I went to the movies to start my weekend early and I saw Scream 6. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I told y'all I was gonna come back and do a Scream 6 review. You didn't believe me. So if you had missed my previous episode, I did a review on Scream 5 not too long ago. I was a little late seeing it. I never got to see it in theaters, although I did want to. It was on Paramount Plus. So if you have a subscription there, you can watch on there. I'm not sure if it's on any other streaming services, but I watched that because I knew Scream 6 was coming out. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I know what's going on. I felt like I was caught up because clearly, Scream 5, although there are some OG characters in there, it's about a new generation. It's a new group of people, a group of friends. Sydney is no longer the main target anymore, and she should not be after everything she's been through. So yeah, so I felt like I was all caught up and I was much more excited to see Scream 6 now that I had seen Scream 5. So if you missed that episode, you can go back on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook page, and watch that episode or any of my old episodes. Um, and since this is a movie review, as always, I try to start off talking non spoilers, at least for the first 5 or 10 minutes. And then I will let you guys know when I'm getting into more details about the movies, just in case nobody has seen it yet. And if you guys want to come back to this episode, you can, because I know literally the movie just came out. So I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of you guys that have not seen it yet. Maybe some of you guys haven't even seen Scream 5 yet. Highly recommend watching Scream 5 before you see Scream 6 because Scream 6 will not make sense to you if you have not seen 5. And I also think seeing the original, seeing the first Scream would make sense because there's a lot of references in 5 to the first one. And then again, I feel like it kind of circles back to what happened with Sydney and everything in the beginning. So if you haven't seen the Scream movies, but you kind of want to see Scream 6, at least see the first one and the fifth one, I would say. But yeah, I'm excited. Like, I'm not gonna lie, y'all, Scream 6 had me a little bit shook. Like, my knees are kind of jumping right now because I really haven't seen a Scream movie in theater since I was like in high school. So that was kind of like fun to go back and I guess like have a new experience with it because last time, I've said this like many times, last time I went to see a Scream movie in theaters, it was for Scream 4, and I didn't really enjoy it that much, to be honest. At least, well, I think it was more so the end that I was kind of like disappointed with a little bit. Um, and yeah, and I missed Scream 5, so this was like a long time coming. And Scream is like my favorite for a while. It's been my favorite horror franchise, I would say, because I've always been a big scaredy cat when it came to horror movies, but for some reason Scream was kind of like the exception. I remember being younger, like being a teenager and actually liking the Scream movies and I didn't mind watching them, whereas a lot of other horror movies I was like, no, I'm not watching that. Never going to watch it. So yeah, so I had to show out and come see the movie because like I said, after I seen Scream 5, I was pretty excited to see what they were going to do with this movie because clearly they have no plans of stopping. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a Scream 7, might be an 8, who knows. I don't know if they've officially announced it yet, um but yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to continue. I don't think it's going to stop here. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed the movie overall. Like I said, it left me a little bit shook. Maybe because like I don't know, maybe because I haven't really like I didn't watch Scream 5 in theater, so there's always a difference when you see a movie on a big screen. To me, I felt like there was more jump scares in this one. And also, I think the biggie for me personally was that the motive for Ghostface was better in Scream 6 than it was in Scream 5. Should I say what? I don't know if okay, I'm gonna spoil it if y'all haven't seen Scream 5, just letting you know right now. So in Scream 5, basically it ended up being Samantha's boyfriend and like one of the girls in their like new friend group and they were like together, so they were in on it together. So it was two ghost faces, as we usually see in most of these movies. So that wasn't really a surprise, but it was just the fact that it was like Richie was obsessed with the stab movies and just the whole story of Ghostface, and that's why him and his girlfriend wanted to kind of like recreate it. And and he has such an obsession with films in general, but with Stab 8, I think it was like Stab 8 was like the worst movie in the franchise. And so he was basically like trying to right the wrong in his head. It was like Scream 8 was horrible. So, I mean, not Scream 8, but Stab 8 was horrible. So now I have to like change it and make it better. And crazy stuff. So, it was like, it was very like typical, like love interest ends up being the killer. Um, like I said, his motive was literally because like he was obsessed with the movies, which was fine. But I just feel like, to me, when we're talking Ghostface here, like Ghostface is iconic. Okay. So I just feel like the reasoning behind why Ghostface is doing the killing should be a little bit more interesting than that. And that's why I think I've always said that I don't think the original can really be beat, because Billy's motive was like way deeper than just, it was way deeper than just, well, obviously the Stab movies hadn't been made when Billy did it, because he was the one that kind of like set the precedent for it. But I think his reasoning was just so much deeper. And I kind of want to get back to that. And so I feel like they kind of did get back to that a little bit with Scream 6 compared to Scream 5. But I love both movies, but I feel like I might have enjoyed this one a little bit better. So, if you kind of feel the same way about me, I do recommend going to see the movies. So I think you will enjoy it. And I think anybody that is a fan of the Scream franchise will really like it. And anybody that, has been watching like the newer characters come in and take over. If you like Sarah, not Sarah, oh my God, I'm butchering people's names. If you like Samantha, and if you like Tara, um, and, like just all the new people and stuff, then you'll like this one for sure. So that's my take on it. I want to talk about it more, but it's hard to not do that without giving things away. So I will be transitioning into spoiler talk soon. But yeah, this is just so crazy to me. And what's funny is like somebody had asked me last night, they were like, "Oh, so you like horror movies?" And I was like, you know what? I always say that I don't. Like, I've always said that I don't like horror movies, or I'm like, oh, I hate horror movies. But it's like, I honestly think my opinion of them is changing since I'm getting older, or as I'm getting older. I feel like I don't know. I feel it. Is it sick to say I feel like I find the enjoyment in them a little bit more now? And that's not to say every horror movie like this. Some movies I'm still like, no, I'm not watching that. Like, I just can't get into I'm kind of like picky about it, but I think I can enjoy them much more now. And I feel the same way about Halloween, where it was like, it used to really scare me when I was a kid, and now I see the fun in it, and I find fun and like, the joy in it. And I feel like, that applies to like horror movies now, which is kind of crazy, because I never used to feel that way. Like, anybody that really knows me knows I was like a big scaredy cat when it comes to horror movies and things like that. Even though I did read horror books quite a bit when I was in middle school, but I felt like that was more digestible for me because it was words, compared to visuals. And so I've always really loved reading. So reading a horror book was much different for me. I could deal with that, even though horror novels are pretty creepy too. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes they're more creepy than the movie itself. But yeah, it was different for me. So now it's just like, okay, I'm kind of getting into the horror movie things. That's why I made the joke, like in one of my episodes, where I was like, you know what? Maybe I should turn this podcast into like a horror, like just like a whole horror podcast thing where I talk about like movies and TV shows and books, and it's just all horror related. Like, could you imagine if it turned into that? I'm joking about it, but it could happen. You never know. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I could say without spoiling the movie. So I don't think this is a spoiler because it shows her in the trailer, but Kirby made an appearance, or not even an appearance, but Kirby is back in Scream 6. So Kirby was in Scream 4. And to be honest, I don't really remember all of what happened with her. I know that she did get stabbed, but clearly she didn't die because she's in this one. And she's actually an FBI agent in this one. I guess that's kind of a spoiler, but she comes back and she's an FBI agent. So when the Ghostface killings start up, she's on the case, and she's basically just like, I've been through this before, so like, let me investigate because I know how to catch this guy. And like her and Sam and Tara and the rest of the friend group, they all team up and everything. So pretty much, I guess I should have started with this. Pretty much the premise is they are all in New York. I'm pretty sure they are all in college except Sam. Since Sam is a little bit older than Tara, I'm not sure by how much, but um, pretty much I think Sam is out there just to be around Tara and to kind of keep an eye on her, because after everything that's happened, she's like, I gotta watch out for you. Like, you're my baby sis. I'm gonna do whatever I can to protect you. And it starts to be this thing for Tara where she's like, okay, I understand you want to be here for me, but now you're just doing a little bit too much. Like, now you're not letting me breathe. You're not letting me be, you know, um, you're not letting me be young and fun and do the things that college students do and all that kind of stuff. And I understand it from both sides, because if you go through something traumatic like that, of course you're probably going to be like super protective of your sibling, and especially because they had been so estranged for so long. If you watch Five, you know that Tara and Sam weren't in each other's lives for probably like some years, and then when when Sam came back to Woodsboro after what happened to Tara, then that's when they linked back up, and then they've been super close ever since. So, I understand her as an older sister of why she would be that way, but I also understand me being the youngest in my family. Like, if somebody was hovering over me constantly, it would just be like, okay, like, can you just let me do me? Like, please. Especially being in college, you want to be able to like experiment and explore and have fun and be with your friends and be with whoever you like and all that kind of stuff. So, that's kind of where we see, I guess, Sam and Tara in the beginning. And obviously, I think the big difference with this one is that they're in New York City. So, completely different setting than we've ever seen with the Scream movie. Very different than the last one, because the last one they were in Woodsboro. So, the last one was heavily referencing the first Scream, and then with this one, I feel like they kind of were referencing both. I think they were referencing the first one again and then the second one too, because if you guys remember in Scream 2, Sydney and her friends had went off to college. I think they went off to college in like Ohio or something like that. And pretty much what happened kind of followed her to college. And then it was like, it all started happening all over again. And that was kind of the same. It was the same thing kind of here with six. And so that kind of makes me wonder if like they're kind of doing, like, if they're doing that intentionally, if they're following, if the new movies are following. So basically, how five referenced one a lot, and then six is referencing two, and then if they do seven, or inevitably when they do seven, because I have no doubt that they're going to make another one. When they do seven, is it going to reference three? You see what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if they're kind of like going back to reference the old ones. I don't know. And then if they do eight, is it going to reference four? I don't know. I feel like they're not trying to recreate, but just kind of like, I don't know what other word I could use besides referencing, but it's definitely like a throwback to the original movies. I'll say it like that. So I kind of wonder if that's what they're going to continue to do with this new cast, and that'll be kind of interesting to see, to be honest. And what's funny is that I know like quite a few people didn't enjoy Scream 3 as much as the first two. I feel like out of all of them, Scream 3 is the one that people kind of give a hard time, I guess, because it kind of deviated from the first two. And then, even though for me it was four that I was kind of like, about, like, I feel like I didn't have a problem with Scream 3, to be honest. But and Scream thing was a Scream thing. Scream 3 was different too, because I believe in that movie there was only one ghost face killer, and that was something we had never seen. I think in all of them it's pretty much always been like two people, from what I remember. Yeah, in four it was two people, and five it was two people, and then in this one it was do you want me to say it? Um but yeah, that was different, having it be one person. But yeah, like I said, overall, thought it was a good movie. Like I said, I think I enjoyed it a little bit better than five, and it could be too because of the atmosphere, because I was actually at the theater, and you know, seeing it on the big screen was nice. It was more of an experience, and like the jump scares were pretty good. But it also too could be because it was just so much louder than watching like I watched Scream 5 like on my MacBook versus watching it in theaters, and so I definitely jumped a few times. And it was funny too because I was sitting next to an older lady who was like, she was really nice and talking to me before the movie started, and she was like, don't jump too much." And I'm like, "Girl, if I get scared, can I hold your hand?" Because I'm thinking like I don't have nobody here to hold on to. Um, but we made it. We survived. We got through it. I'm like, if she can get through it, I can get through it. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to her if you watch this, Miss. Hello, how are you doing? She's not watching this, but she was very sweet though. And so yeah, so I think the overall experience maybe it just made it a little bit better for me. But you guys let me know what you think. If you saw Scream 6 already, leave a comment down below like what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, maybe without fully spoiling it, but just kind of let me know if you liked it. And I just, in comparison to Scream 5, what did you think? And tell me what you think is going to happen in Scream 7 because like I said there is going to be a Scream 7. I'm betting money on it that there's going to be a Scream 7. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the full details. Let's get into the juiciness of it, okay? But before we do that, I just want to let you guys know that my podcast is sponsored by Stream Media. So thank you to them for sponsoring the podcast. And they are the way that I'm able to go live every week on Facebook. So I use their Stream Studio software, and that's kind of like what you see me on this platform is that I do every day. Or not every day, but every week, I should say. But this is what I've always used since I've started the podcast. So I recommend checking them out. You can go to studio.streann.com and then you type in your email and you get a login code and then you're in. And all the features are free. Now, if there are options for you to upgrade, if you want to pay and kind of get a little bit more for your cash's worth, then you could do that. But just know that it's there for anybody to use. And so you could pretty much do exactly what I'm doing if you wanted to. But it doesn't have to be podcasting. It could really be like any type of content creation, any type of video content creation that you want to do. A lot of people are into gaming right now. So if you wanted to do gaming and you wanted to go live through Twitch, you have that ability to do that through here. If you want to go live through Facebook like me, if you want to go live through YouTube, you could do that as well. And then as far as I know, they're adding some more social media apps for people to go live through. So that's pretty cool. And they make it really easy to kind of just be able to record and then you save your recordings, and then that way I'm able to post on YouTube and Spotify and kind of just like any other social platform that I want to on the same day. And then the content is out for you guys, and I really don't have to do any editing because it's live. So the only time I'm really editing is like if I do a reel or something like that or a TikTok and I kind of want to take a little piece of the podcast just to post like a clip, or like a teaser or something like that. But for the most part, they make it pretty easy for me to just do the show and then I post it and it's on there and I don't have to worry about, anything else. So if you guys use Stream Studio or if you use anything from Stream Media, just let me know. Let me know how you enjoy it and let them know as well because they're on Facebook and Instagram. So you could definitely tag them or mention them and anything like that. But yeah, so let's get into what happened in Scream 6. Okay, let me just jump right into I think this was like the mid. I feel like the second half of the movie really had me shook, and I keep saying that, but I'm serious. Like my heart was beating fast, like no joke. Um, I think this was the middle of the movie or maybe towards the second part of the movie, the subway scene, y'all. And I was talking to somebody about this on Twitter too. They were like, the subway scene had me like nervous. Like I was like clutching on. I had my hoodie on and I was like clutching onto it because I was like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, because you just know something bad's gonna happen. And what was crazy too was that they had shown the subway scene. That was like one of the main scenes that they showed throughout the trailer, and so you knew like something's definitely gonna happen here. And I knew something was going to happen with Mindy. I just didn't know exactly what, but it was like anticipating it. It was just like waiting for something to happen. And I was like, don't kill Mindy. Don't kill Mindy. And yeah, that was a pretty good scene. That might have been one of my favorite scenes in the movie, to be honest. And again, because it's so different than anything they've ever done in a Scream film. They've never been in New York. They've never had a subway scene. And what was really scary about it, I think, and not just that scene, but I think within this movie, what made it so scary was that they were in this huge city full of like a ton of people. And a lot of times when things were happening, it was like other people were around. And so that to me is like, you're not safe anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're around, the public or really anywhere. Like if Ghostface is gonna come after you, he's gonna come after you regardless. And I think that's what made it more scary to me anyway. Cause I think in horror movies there's always this kind of like known rule of like you just need to get somewhere where other people can see you. You just need to be around other people and you'll be fine. And then like the monster or the killer or whatever it is that's chasing after you will leave you alone. Or even kind of like the boogeyman. If you kind of like cover yourself or if you're around your parents or something like that, then you're fine. But in this case, in this movie, it was like, no, like wherever you go, Ghostface is still gonna come after you and he's still watching you. And so that was pretty scary. And so they definitely um they definitely shown that in the subway scene because they all went on the subway, and what happened was Mindy got split up from the rest of her group, so from like her brother Chad and from like Tara and Sam, and then there was a new guy in there who was very very cute. Hello, that was Sam's new love interest. So she was like he was their neighbor, and they had a thing going on, but she didn't want to fully commit after everything that happened, which is understandable. She has trust issues, so they're seeing each other, but they're not like officially together. So of course he got involved because he wanted to help her and keep her safe and everything. I was really rooting for him. I was like, please do not let him be the killer, because I was like, first of all, for it to be the love interest in both 5 and 6 would have been corny, and I just like, please don't do that. But also just because he was way cuter than Richie, her last boyfriend, so I was like, please let this be good, like let it work out for them. But eventually at some point in the movie I was like, yeah, it's not him, it's definitely not him. So I'm glad it wasn't. But they're all on the subway, and I'm trying to remember, oh, they were going to see, God, I'm trying to remember where they were going at that point in the movie. I don't fully remember. But anyway, they're all traveling, and there's like a ton of people on the subway. And excuse me. And what was crazy was like half of the people had on ghost face masks. So it was like we don't know who's who. We don't know if the real ghost face is on here. We don't know if um these people are just playing dress up. Like I don't know if it was, and it was weird because like the beginning of the movie people were in costumes out on the street. So I'm like, is it Halloween? And then it later on it showed them in a costume. So I was like, is it Halloween like all these days? Like what's going on? I don't know. I don't know why everybody was dressed up like throughout half the movie, but they were near like a college campus, so they were probably dressing up for parties and stuff. But anyway, it was scary because all these killings are going on. They're showing it on the news and everything. And people think it's like cool. And so and people are buying them ghost face mask and everything. And I'm like, really, like this is a real thing, like people are really getting killed like on campus. It wasn't just within like Sam's and Tara's group, it was like other like couple other students got killed. So it was just like, why are y'all still selling these ghost face masks? Like this should be illegal at this point. Like anyway, because and it's so irritating because I feel like that would happen in real life, where like there would be some really awful tragedies going on, and we find out that the killer is like wearing a certain type of mask, and people go out and buy it and start wearing it at school and wearing it around, wearing it walking around the street. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like have some sense, please. Anyway, so that was scary because it's like, okay, everybody is dressed up in costumes, people have masks on, we don't know who's who. I don't like that. And I know they didn't like that either. Like it was just super anxiety inducing, this whole scene. And then the fact that, like I said, Mindy was split up from the group, but it was like, don't split up. That's one of the horror movie rules. Do not split up. Although that wasn't her fault. It was an accident. But she got split up and she was stuck with what is his name? Basically like he ended up being one of the killers, the guy that she was stuck with. He was like one of the new guys. Um if it was his name Ethan or something like that. I don't know. He's irrelevant because he dies at the end anyway. But she was stuck with him, and she was getting that feeling of like, you're suspicious. We don't know you. Get away from me. Stay away from me. And he was trying to play all like, like innocent and like he's just the nerdy roommate or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's looking a little too obvious if you ask me. So I'm not surprised that he was one of the Ghostface killers. But she was on the subway with him, but she told him to kind of like move away, so he kept his distance, but it was still like there's so many people in Ghostface masks that it's like I feel like everybody's looking at me, and I just feel like somebody's gonna come after me. And then on top of that, the lights were flickering, so then it was like going dark, and then the light would come back on, and you see, oh my god, that scene scared me for real, for real. I was like, oh my god, I was really scared for you, girl. I'm really scared for you. So the lights were flickering on and off, and then like one of the people in the ghost face mask was like clearly looking at Mindy, and Mindy's like, oh shoot, like this person is looking at me. I think this is really ghost face, like for real. And then again, the lights are flickering and everything, and then it's like you could tell the person's getting closer. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, girl, this is horrible. Like you're in a crowded subway and there's nothing you could do. Like you could try to ask for help or whatever, but like again, they're in New York, so I'm sure New York people are like very different than any other place. But like basically she ends up getting stabbed, and Ghostface does it like he covers her mouth, and so she can't, nobody can hear her screaming. And it's not until like, the subway stops and people start getting off, and then the dude, the suspect, he starts running towards her, and he's like, oh my god, somebody help. And then people start looking, they're like, what the heck, like what happened? And it's like the fact that nobody knew that she got stabbed is like really scary. Like that's how crowded it was, that people didn't even see what was going on. So again, that notion of like no matter where you are, Ghostface can get you, or Ghostface will like find you and come after you. It doesn't matter if there's people around, like they do not care. And that is a bold thing to do. Like you have to be really bold to like stab somebody in a crowd full of people. Anyway, so I was just like, Ghostface is doing too much in this movie, like doing way too much. But I could tell from the trailer. That's why I was excited to see it, because I was like, okay, seems a little different in this one. Um, Perhaps the best Ghostface that we've had since Billy and Stu. I don't know. But that was kind of like the vibe I was getting, where I'm like, this ghost face, or these ghost faces, because we always know there's more than one usually. It was like definitely they don't care. Like they really don't care. And the reason why they're doing this is it just felt like angry is what it felt like before it was even revealed who was who at the end. It was like whoever is doing these killings is angry, and it's not because they're obsessed with like Richie. It's not because they're obsessed with the stab movies. It has nothing to do with that. It's like it feels like a personal vendetta. This is like full on revenge. I'm coming after you, and before I even get you, I'm gonna mess with you just to make your life miserable. Like that's super cruel and just like horrible. Like that's probably worse than than like Richie's motive of like, oh, I'm obsessed with the movies, like because like you're just crazy and you're stupid. But this person or these people were like, like I said, they don't care. Like they're just stuck on vengeance and like getting you back, and that means getting anybody that gets in their way, or anybody that's around Sam, because Sam was like the main target. But obviously, they would go after Tara too, because that's her sister. And then the friend group is in trouble because they're all like, they all know Sam, they're all friends with her. And any of the love interests that came in, they're in danger too, because it's like, again, they know Sam. And so I really felt for Sam in this movie. There was the part where I kind of like almost teared up when you could tell she just kind of wanted to give up, and she was just like, all this is happening because of me, so maybe I should just give myself up, and so that way you guys will be safe and we don't have to worry about this anymore. And they were like, no, we're not letting you do that. Like, no, we got through it the first time, we'll get through it this time. And and Tara was definitely like, no, like you're my sister. I'm not gonna let you like get killed, basically. And I liked the friendship between the core four of them, like Sam and Tara, and Chad and Mindy, because they were the ones, I feel like they were the only ones from Woodsboro in this one. I think the rest of them were either like newer characters, or, well, I mean, Kirby is from Woodsboro, but she's like in a different age group. It was different. So they were like the core four, and I like their friendship and like the chemistry that they have with each other. And I definitely like the little thing going on between Chad and Tara. I thought that was cute. And again, I was really hoping, I was like, please do not let it be Chad. And then again, at some point I was like, no, it's not him. But I was like, it's like everybody's a suspect in these movies. So I was like, please don't let it be Chad. Like, no, don't pin it on the black guy. No. And plus he's cute and I wanted things to work out with Tara and stuff. So I was like, no, don't make it him. So I'm glad it wasn't him. Um, and I don't know, and it kind of wouldn't have even made sense for it to be him after what he went through in the last one. So I really wasn't thinking it was any of the four of them, but I was still just like, I hope it's not them. Like I really hope it's not. And and I also feel like too, he's like a really good asset because he's like the only guy in their group, and so he has the muscles. Like he could fight for real. Like they all can fight, but he could fight. Like this parts where he's like swinging, he was like swinging on Ghostface and like throwing stuff at him, and it was like he was doing good for a bit there. Like he was fighting for real, for real. And because he liked Tara, it was like he was definitely gonna protect her. So I was just like, man, we can't lose him. We cannot lose him. Like he is the muscles of the group. We need this guy. So I'm glad that he didn't. I mean, he got pretty messed up, but he didn't. I think he survived from what I remember, or from the way I understand it, he was okay. Um, I think the last we saw him, he was getting like he was on like a what do you call it? What do you call it? Like when the ambulance come and get you on the stretcher. So he was, like I said, he got stabbed quite a bit of times. So I don't know how he's going to be in the next one, but he survived. So I was glad for that. They all four of them did. Um, and yeah, but yeah, going back to that subway scene, like that had me shook. Like it was like to the point where I like got home last night and I was still thinking about it. I was like, I can't believe they did that like that. Like that was so scary to me. I don't know, but maybe it's just because I'm a scaredy cat. For some other people, it might not be that scary, but I think it was just really like like I said, the anticipating something happening because something's gonna happen. It's just like when is it gonna happen? And and sometimes they do the little like fake jump scares where like somebody pops up and then it's like you jump and then it's like, oh, it wasn't even like anything scary, but because you're waiting for something to happen, that makes it scarier. So it was just like the anxiousness of that whole scene. But yeah, and the way it was shot was really good too. So whoever I think the director is, I'm gonna butcher the name, Tyler, I'm gonna butcher the name. I'm gonna butcher the last names, but it's Tyler something, and then maybe I should look it up who the director is. But we already know that. I feel like it might have been the same director as a Scream Five. I'm not too sure, but obviously we know that like Kevin Williamson wrote the characters, like originally wrote the Scream characters, and so I'm not sure if he was a part of writing these newer characters or not, but kudos to really anybody, like the director, the writers, um, anybody that was really like a part of the whole behind the scenes process, because I feel like they did a good job. And yeah, it says, okay, so yeah, it says screenplays by is that who it is? James Vanderbilt. So yeah, different people I think wrote this one, but yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to look on Google to see if I'm getting this right here. Um Matt Bettolini was one of the directors. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but yeah. Anyway, just kudos to them. I like to talk about the people who like, when I talk about these movies and these TV shows and everything, I like to give props to the people that work behind the scenes because I always feel like they do, most of the work. And that's no shade to like the actors or anything, but I just feel like people that work on film sets and TV sets and everything, like they're the ones that really make it what it is, in my opinion. So I kind of like to shout them out and everything like that. But yeah, that scene had me shook. And then let's talk about the how brutal the killings were. Now they were pretty brutal in five, but I feel like they're just gonna keep getting more like, I just feel like they're gonna keep getting more gory, to be honest, and I don't know how I feel about that because, like I said, I'm kind of picky with my scary movies. Now I understand, obviously, like Scream has always been a slasher film, so of course there's gonna be people getting stabbed and everything, but it's just like, dude, like they're not getting stabbed in the chest, in the stomach anymore. It's like in the throat, in the eye, in the mouth, and I'm like, ugh, that's so gross. I can't do it. But yeah, so I feel like they're just gonna keep getting worse. So I'm really trying to think to like who probably had the worst death in this movie. Whose death really made me upset, like really sad, and I didn't even know the girl was um I don't remember her name, but it was Mindy's girlfriend or the girl that she was dating. I don't know if they were like, official, but they liked each other, right? Um, she got it bad, and I felt so bad for her because she like, you know what I mean? Like it was just like she got killed by association just because she was friends with him. Like she had nothing to do with it. Um, I was just like, poor girl. I think her name was like Anika or something like that. I don't know, but and she was a cute girl too. I was like, why you do that to this girl? Like that was horrible. And it was just the way that she went out, and it was like it could have been different. It could have been different, honestly. So basically, in that with that scene, I guess for those who maybe haven't seen it, but you kind of want to know, um, they were all like all of them as a group were in the apartment, right? And um it was crazy because the neighbor, the one that not Tara, the one that Sam had been messing around with, he had seen Ghostface through the window because he's like right across the street from him, and he was like, "Oh my god!" Like, like something basically like he sees that somebody's in there, and he's trying to get their attention. They're too busy talking. They're all like laughing and at the dinner table and everything, and it looks like one of the newer girls is about to get killed. Now she ends up being one of the murderers too, so that was all fake, but still it was like I know in that moment he was just like, oh shoot, like I need to warn them that like Ghostface is in there, and like if they don't get out of there they're gonna get got basically. So he tries to call Sam, and she's just like, oh, I'll call him back later, and she presses end, and I'm like, girl, like he's calling you for a reason, like answer the phone. But they end up getting I think they all get a text message like at the same time, and they know then that something's going up, and it's like a picture of the roommate, and like Ghostface like has her in a headlock, and so they're like, oh shoot, like he is in the house. And they start running, and of course he's coming after them and everything, and they're trying to like lock him, like basically like chasing through the house and everything like that, and they get to a room, and they're not I don't think I'm trying to remember if they were able to like I don't think they were able to like fully lock it. They kind of had to push like the dresser against the door. And at this point, like um, you know, Mindy had been stabbed, her girlfriend had been stabbed. I think I'm trying to remember if Sam or Tara had been stabbed too. I don't remember, but like them two, they had gotten stabbed. So they were kind of like bleeding out at this point. And it was like, yeah, we need to get out of here, or we need to get you two out of here. And so the only way out is through the window, and they're up like I don't know how many stories, but there's no way they could just like jump because you would like literally die or at least break something. So they're trying to get to the guy, the neighbor's house, and he's like across the way. And what he does is he pulls out they showed this part in the trailer a little bit. Um, he pulls out this ladder to connect like their window to his, and they have to climb over the ladder, but they're way up. So just imagine like having to do that, and then on top of that you're like bleeding out. It was just like the worst situation ever. And so, you know, to make a long story short, they all get across except for the girl, except for Mindy's girlfriend. And I don't know why she waited to have her go last. I'm like, she was the one that was the most messed up. So at that point I was like, she's not gonna make it because she's bleeding out too much. But she gets on the ladder, and she's like, she's like, I can't do it because it's shaky. It's not like steady, even though the guy is holding it. But she's trying to like go across, and then of course Ghostface happens to get into the door at that point, and he's oh my god, I want it at that point. When I tell y'all I wanted Ghostface to die so bad at that point, I was like, you are so like you deserve to die, like for real. The way he was messing with her was just so messed up. And if you guys see, you know what I'm talking about. Because he like went in there, and he could have just immediately like flipped the thing and had her fall, or he could have grabbed her and drug her back. And he's standing there shaking the ladder, and she's just trying to hold on for dear life. And I was like, bro, like at that point, I think I'm just jumping because I don't want you to be the reason I die. Like, I don't want to die at the hands of Ghostface. Like, I'd rather just go out on my own, to be honest. But I was like, dude, like in my head, I don't like to try to like talk too much or be too loud in the theaters, but in my head, I was like, just go, just go. Like, I know you're scared, but just go, because like it didn't seem like she was that far away. She was just taking really long time because she was scared. And I understand, because I would be scared too. And like I said, she was hurt pretty bad. So it was just like, it was like, dude, like I know you're not gonna make it, but I'm still rooting for you, type of thing. And it's just so frustrating. But the way he was messing with her was just so like evil. Like that is just so evil. Like he was shaking the ladder and everything like that. And then it was really like about control too, to show that like, hey, I could kill any one of you at any time. But right now I'm just messing with y'all. Like this is really just me like having fun. Like, and it was just so messed up. And like he flips the thing from his end and she falls. And when she fell, God, when she fell, it was not like like sometimes when in movies when people fall um from a really kind of like tall height, it's usually like a boom and then they're dead. But she fell and hit the freaking like garbage can, or not the garbage can, but like in apartment buildings, they have like in alleyways, they have like the big garbage thing for like apartments and stuff. She hit that like full on before she fell to the ground. And so her face was like messed up. And I was like, oh my God, why do that to this poor girl? She literally had nothing to do with it. And I felt so bad for Mindy, watching her girlfriend die like that, knowing that she was so close to making it. But again, I still feel like if she had gotten across, like I don't know if they would have been able to get her to a hospital and all that kind of stuff before she bled out, because she was bleeding pretty badly. So, it's always that kind of like what if thing. But it was just like, dude, like that was horrible. I feel like that was one of the worst deaths, I think, in the movie, just because the way it played out. And then honestly, like the way all the well, I don't say all of them, but the way Ghostface's, because it was three of them, if you didn't know, the way the two guys went out was pretty gruesome. The way the girl went out, she got it a little bit easier. She got like shot in the head, and it was like, okay, like you deserve more than that because you're a little biatch too. Um, but the two guys, they got it pretty bad. This is what I was saying, where the killings are getting more is gross. The son, I'll go back and say why they did what they did. So the son got stabbed in the mouth, I think, and Tara did that. But I was rooting for her though, because I was like, at that point, it's like it's either you or me. And if we gotta choose, I'm choosing me. Like I'm gonna save me. So she got him pretty good, and then we had to end it off with the final. Really, they're both final girls, but Sam is like the final girl, really, in these movies, because it's really that they were after her is kind of like why this was happening. So of course she gets the last laugh, and she kills the cop, and she stabs him like in the eye. I think it was like in the face or something like that. But she got him good though. I was like, again, rooting for her, but also like, girl, like that was gross. um Even Tara was it was like a point where Tara was looking at her like, girl, you good? Like, okay, we killed him, like you can stop now. Like you kind of doing a little bit too much, and you kind of acting like your dad now. um but so yeah, so of course, they all got killed in the end, but it was just like the fact that this all three of them were so, I keep saying like cruel and evil, but really that's what they were. It was really like, that's why I said I felt like the motive and just the way that they went about it was a little bit better than five, because it really just wasn't just about like movies. It wasn't about being obsessed with the film or anything like that. It was all like vengeance is what it was. And that's a real thing. That's like people go to lengths to get revenge on people. Um, and so what we found out in the end basically was that Richie, one of the Ghostface killers in five, who had been dating Samantha, that's his family. So his family was coming back to get her, because they was like, he was like, you killed my son and the two siblings. There was like, you killed our brother, so now we coming after you. And again, makes sense, right? Like that's what happened in Scream 2. Billy's mom came back to get Sydney. So that's why I was like, okay, I think they're kind of following like the originals a little bit, just kind of switching it up, I guess. But yeah, I kind of liked that motive, and it just made more sense to me than the way they kind of did it in five. And the fact that it was a family going after her, like I don't think we've ever seen a like ghost face and it was like a family going after somebody. It's usually like the one person, and then it's like a friend or an accomplice or somebody they're dating. But this was they were doing this as a family. I'm like, y'all were really crazy doing this. um so yeah, I don't know, I thought that was a better twist, I think, than in the last one, if you ask me, and better than four's twist, I think, too. Um and yeah, I kind of there was a point where the cop, or I don't know if he was like a detective or a cop, I don't remember, but basically there was a point where he goes, "Oh, you guys, it's Kirby." Like they were trying to pin it on each other because Kirby was trying to let them know, like, it's not me. It's not me. Like, what are you guys talking about? And he's like, "Oh no, he's just saying, she's just saying that to like, knock her off her trail." And then at that point, I was like, "Nah, I don't think it's Kirby." I was like, "It has to be him," because if you really watch, or if you really paid attention to the way the murders were happening, like whoever was doing that at certain points was really strong. And I'm like, I really don't think that was Kirby. That's not to say Kirby's not strong. And as we seen, there was a girl doing it too. So I'm not saying that women can't be ghost face killers, but it was just like this the physical strength of when he was killing people. It definitely seemed like a man. So I was like, it seems more likely that it's him. And the fact that he's a cop, so he can kind of like clean up his mess and everything. And then there's a point where when he goes after Gail and she goes to shoot him like through the door, and he's like, "Well, how do you know, I don't have a bulletproof vest?" And I'm like, that was a clue. That was a clue right there. That was telling you right there that it was the cop, because of course he would have a bulletproof vest. And if it wasn't him doing that, he still probably provided his kids with that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there was clues throughout the movie that it was him, and I just didn't pick up on it till like the last minute. But and and that's kind of the fun of these films too, because there's that mystery of like, who is it, who done it, and why are they doing it, type of thing. And I think sometimes, when they reveal it, it can be a little like, oh, okay, that's why, you doing all this just because of some movies, or just because, you know what I mean. But in this case, I feel like it made sense. So yeah, it was crazy. I can keep going on and on and on talking about it, but I feel like, I think I should wrap it up because we're going on about 45 minutes in, and I don't like to keep the episodes too long if I can help it. But basically, I said all that to say that I enjoyed it and it kept me on the edge of my seat. And, like I said, if you're a fan of the films of the franchise itself, then I feel like you guys will like this one. And of course, let me know in the comments what you thought about Scream 6, and if you haven't seen it, let me know if you plan on seeing it, or which out of all the movies is your favorite. I still think, even though I did enjoy this one, I still kind of think the first one can't be I don't think they'll surpass the first one, to be honest. The first one was just like really good, but this one was good too, though. And I guess it's kind of hard to compare because it's different characters. It's not about Sydney anymore, although she was mentioned in this one, but she wasn't in this one. Um, so yeah, and it was a different time too. The first one came out like '96, so it was different. But I don't know. Like I said, I feel like this one was maybe the best out of the newer ones, if you ask me. So yeah, there you have it. There's your Scream 6 review. Um what I really want to get into, maybe next week or hopefully sometime soon, is Barry. If you guys didn't know, I don't want to get too much into it because then I'll get excited and I'll start talking about it and everything. But basically, they announced that season 4 is the last season of the show, and they showed like a teaser trailer and everything. And I wanted to do a reaction for you guys and just kind of get into like, what could be happening in season 4 and how we left off in season 3. And I want to do like a whole episode on it, so I'm not going to try to like squeeze that in the last 10 minutes here. I think I just want to do a separate episode of that. And you guys let me know if you'd like to see that as well. But to be honest, I plan on doing it anyway, whether you guys say you want it or not, because if you know that I love the show Barry, and I'm a big fan of like Bill Hader's work and everything like that. So I've been really excited to get back into this. And I feel like I haven't really been talking about TV shows that much. So we're definitely going to get back into it once Barry comes back next month. It'll be for next month for sure. So yeah, there you have it. And like I said, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. And just last reminder that my podcast is sponsored by Streann Media. And so if you want to check out the Streann Studio yourself, just make sure you go to studio.streann.com and then put in your email and you get a login code and you're in. And like I said before, just let them know if you enjoyed the software and what you like about it, maybe what maybe some changes or some things you'd like to see added, because I'm sure they're open to feedback, and of course they want to work on it to get it better and to get it to where more people are able to use it, and pretty much to do whatever they want with it. It doesn't have to be podcasting. That's just kind of what I'm doing. But yeah, so make sure you check them out, and thank you for tuning into my podcast and for watching my silly little episodes, because most of this is literally just me like rambling and fangirling about things, and it's just kind of like a cool outlet for me to talk about movies and TV and things like that, just things that I love. So I appreciate anybody that listens and anybody that interacts with me or gives me likes or anything like that. So you know hopefully you guys have a good week going forward, and I will see you guys here Facebook Live same time next weekend at 1 p.m. And yeah, we're gonna keep this thing rolling. So I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.